Staff Sergeant Maya Chun adjusted her headset and scanned the bank of radio equipment humming quietly in the communications center. The pre-dawn hours at Forward Operating Base Kessler were her favorite time to work, when the chatter died down and she could focus on the intricate dance of coordinating multiple frequencies across the sprawling military installation. The morning light filtered through the small windows as soldiers began filing past her station, heading to the mess hall before the major training exercise commenced. She caught fragments of their conversations, the usual mix of excitement and nervous energy that preceded large-scale operations. Sergeant Rodriguez paused at her doorway, coffee in hand. "Maya, you got everything squared away for today's circus?" he asked with a grin. "All systems green," she replied without looking up from her checklist. 23 units for different branches and enough radio traffic to make your head spin. Before we dive into what promises to be an intense day, drop a comment and let us know what state you're watching from. Maybe you have military families in your area who understand the complexity of these massive training operations. Maya smiled at Rodriguez's departing whistle. The communications center buzzed with activity as the exercise officially began at 0600 hours. Maya's fingers danced across multiple radio controls, her trained ear distinguishing between routine check-ins and the subtle tension that indicated something more significant brewing beneath the surface. "Alpha Team, this is base control. Confirm your position," crackled through the speakers. Maya noted the slight delay in their response and made a mental note in her logbook. Colonel Harrison strode into the communications hub, his presence commanding immediate attention from the junior staff. "Chun, I need a full status report on all participating units," he barked, his weathered face showing the strain of coordinating such a massive operation. "Sir, all 23 units are reporting green across the board," Maya responded crisply, though she had noticed several anomalies in the communication patterns that didn't quite add up. Minor timing discrepancies that could indicate equipment issues or something more concerning. The colonel nodded curtly and moved on to bark orders at other personnel. Maya returned her attention to the radio chatter, her intuition telling her that today's exercise might prove more challenging than anyone anticipated. The morning sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the base as hundreds of soldiers moved into their assigned positions. 2 hours into the exercise, Maya began noticing patterns that made her stomach tighten with concern. Bravo Team's position reports were coming in 3 minutes behind schedule consistently, while Delta Squad's coordinates didn't match their assigned sector boundaries. She cross-referenced the data on her secondary monitor, her trained eye-catching discrepancies that others might dismiss as routine communication lag. Major Williams burst through the door, sweat beading on his forehead despite the morning chill. "Chun, are you getting clean signals from the western perimeter?" he demanded, his usual calm demeanor showing cracks of frustration. "Yes, sir, but there are timing inconsistencies that suggest possible equipment malfunctions," Maya replied carefully, highlighting the anomalies on her screen. She watched as the major squinted at the data, his expression growing more troubled. "Keep monitoring and report anything unusual," he ordered before rushing back to the command center where raised voices indicated growing tension among the senior staff. Maya turned back to her equipment, her fingers instinctively adjusting frequencies to get clearer signals. The exercise was supposed to be routine, but something felt fundamentally wrong. She pulled up the tactical map, noting how several units seemed to be drifting from their planned routes in subtle but consistent ways that suggested this wasn't random. Maya's suspicions crystallized when she intercepted a fragment of communication that shouldn't have existed. A brief transmission on an unauthorized frequency, quickly cut off, but her keen ear had caught enough to recognize it wasn't part of the planned exercise protocol. She quietly switched to passive monitoring mode, letting her equipment record everything while maintaining her normal duties. The command center erupted in frustrated chatter as Colonel Harrison's voice carried across the base. "What do you mean Charlie Team is off course? They should be holding position at Grid 77 Alpha, not wandering into the restricted zone." Maya pulled up the comprehensive communication logs, her analytical mind piecing together a disturbing picture. The timing delays, coordinate discrepancies, and unauthorized transmissions formed a pattern that suggested someone was actively interfering with the exercise. She hesitated, knowing that voicing her concerns to senior officers who already viewed communications staff as support personnel rather than tactical assets would likely result in dismissal. Lieutenant Foster appeared at her station, his young face flushed with anxiety. "Chun, Colonel Harrison wants to know if our equipment is malfunctioning. Half the units are reporting different positions than command expects." Maya chose her words carefully. "The equipment is functioning perfectly, sir. The discrepancies appear to be originating from the field units themselves." The situation deteriorated rapidly as Maya watched multiple units converge on positions that would create dangerous bottlenecks in a real combat scenario. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up overlapping tactical displays that revealed the full scope of the crisis developing across the training area. "Echo Team, adjust bearing to 270 degrees immediately." Colonel Harrison's voice boomed through the speakers, but Maya could see on her screen that Echo Team was already committed to a path that would intersect with Foxtrot Squad in less than 10 minutes. She grabbed her headset and switched to the command frequency. "Sir, if Echo maintains current heading, they'll collide with Foxtrot at Checkpoint Delta," she transmitted, her voice steady despite the chaos surrounding her. "Chun, stay off command frequencies unless specifically requested." Major Williams snapped back, his frustration evident as he struggled to coordinate the increasingly complex situation. Maya bit back her response and returned to monitoring, but she couldn't ignore what her equipment was telling her. Someone had infiltrated the exercise communication network and was feeding false information to create exactly this kind of dangerous confusion. She began tracing signal origins, her technical expertise allowing her to follow electronic breadcrumbs that the senior officers lacked the skills to detect. Maya's analysis revealed the source of the interference, a sophisticated signal spoofing operation that was injecting false coordinates and timing data into the exercise network. Someone with advanced technical knowledge was actively sabotaging the training operation, turning what should have been a routine exercise into a potential disaster. The command center descended into barely controlled chaos as units began reporting conflicting orders and impossible mission parameters. Colonel Harrison's voice carried a sharp edge of panic as he demanded answers that none of his staff could provide. "How are we getting 3 different sets of coordinates for the same checkpoint?" he shouted, his weathered hands gripping the edge of the tactical table until his knuckles turned white. Maya watched the electronic warfare unfold on her screens, tracking the malicious signals to their source while simultaneously trying to maintain legitimate communications with the scattered units. She had identified the problem and could see the solution, but protocol demanded she wait for orders from superiors who were too overwhelmed to listen to suggestions from a communications technician. Alpha Team Leader's voice crackled with confusion through the speakers. "Base Control, we're receiving conflicting navigation data. Request immediate clarification of our objective coordinates before we proceed into what appears to be a compromised sector." The breaking point arrived when Golf Team reported they were taking simulated fire for what should have been friendly forces. Maya realized the signal spoofing had progressed beyond simple misdirection into actively dangerous scenarios that could result in real injuries during the live-fire portions of the exercise. Major Williams slammed his fist on the communications console. "This is a complete disaster. We need to abort the entire exercise before someone gets hurt," he declared, his face flushed with frustration and embarrassment. Maya's hands moved across her equipment with practiced precision, isolating the malicious signals and tracing their digital signatures. She had not only identified the source, but also developed a countermeasure that could restore proper communications within minutes. The solution was elegant and simple, requiring only a frequency shift and signal authentication protocol that she could implement immediately. "Sir, I can restore clean communications and eliminate the interference," she said quietly, her voice cutting through the heated arguments between the senior officers. Colonel Harrison whirled around, his expression a mixture of desperation and skepticism. "Chun, this isn't the time for technical experiments. We have units scattered across 3 counties with no reliable way to coordinate their movements or ensure their safety during live-fire segments. The crisis reached its peak when Hotel Team's leader reported they were completely lost in hostile territory, with no communication link to base control. Maya could hear the genuine concern in his voice as he described their position in terrain that didn't match any of their maps or briefing materials. Colonel Harrison's composure finally cracked completely. "We're going to have to send search and rescue teams to locate our own people during what was supposed to be a routine training exercise," he said, his voice hollow with the weight of command failure. Maya made a decision that would either end her career or prove her worth. Without waiting for permission, she began implementing her countermeasures, her fingers flying across the control panel as she isolated the malicious signals and established clean communication channels using backup frequencies that the infiltrator hadn't compromised. Within 30 seconds, her speakers crackled with clear transmissions from previously lost units. "Hotel Team, this is base control on emergency frequency Alpha 7. Do you copy?" She transmitted, her voice steady and professional despite the enormity of what she was attempting. "Base control, this is Hotel Team Leader. We copy loud and clear. Requesting immediate navigation assistance and updated mission parameters," came the relieved response that made Colonel Harrison stop mid-sentence and stare at her equipment in amazement. Maya's unauthorized intervention triggered a cascade of restored communications as unit after unit checked in with clear signals and accurate position reports. The command center fell silent except for the steady stream of professional military chatter flowing through her speakers as she coordinated the recovery of the entire exercise. Major Williams watched in stunned silence as Maya efficiently guided Hotel Team to safety while simultaneously re-establishing contact with 6 other units that had been operating blind for the past hour. Her calm voice directed traffic across multiple frequencies with the precision of a seasoned air traffic controller managing a busy airport. "Sir, all units are now reporting on secure channels," Maya announced to Colonel Harrison, who stood frozen behind her chair, watching her work with growing amazement. "The interference source has been isolated and neutralized. Units can proceed with modified exercise parameters if you choose to continue." The transformation in the command center was immediate and dramatic. Where chaos had reigned moments before, order now prevailed as Maya's restored communications allowed the senior officers to see the complete tactical picture for the first time since the exercise began. "Chun, how did you accomplish what our entire technical staff couldn't manage?" Colonel Harrison asked, his voice carrying a mixture of respect and bewilderment as he realized that his quiet communications technician had just saved the entire operation. The moment that would change everything came through Maya's headset as a priority transmission from Division Command crackled across the emergency frequency. "Base Control, this is General Morrison. We've been monitoring your exercise communications and are aware of the security breach. We need to speak with whoever resolved the interference immediately." Colonel Harrison's face went pale as he realized that Division Command had been watching their exercise disaster unfold in real time. Maya felt her heart pound as she keyed her microphone, knowing that her career hung in the balance with her next words. "General Morrison, this is Staff Sergeant Chun. I identified and neutralized the signal spoofing operation using backup frequency protocols and digital signal authentication," she reported, her voice steady despite the magnitude of addressing a general directly. The silence stretched for several seconds before the general's voice returned with an edge of authority that made everyone in the command center stand straighter. "Sergeant Chun, based on your demonstrated tactical communication abilities and crisis management under pressure, you are hereby appointed temporary exercise commander until this operation concludes successfully." The command center erupted in shocked whispers as the implications sank in. Maya stared at her equipment, hardly believing what she had just heard, while Colonel Harrison stepped back with a mixture of respect and amazement. Maya's transformation from support staff to exercise commander was instantaneous and breathtaking. With General Morrison's authority backing her, she began coordinating the scattered units with a tactical brilliance that left the senior officer speechless. Her intimate knowledge of each team's capabilities and current positions allowed her to orchestrate a complex recovery operation that turned potential disaster into training triumph. All units, this is your new exercise commander, Maya transmitted across all frequencies, her voice carrying newfound authority. We're implementing modified objectives that will test your adaptability and coordination skills. Alpha Team, adjust to checkpoint Charlie and establish Overwatch for Bravo's approach. The response was immediate and professional as unit leaders acknowledged her commands without hesitation. Maya's clear communication style and logical tactical decisions earned instant respect from soldiers who had been struggling with contradictory orders for hours. Colonel Harrison watched in amazement as Maya orchestrated movements across the training area with the precision of a chess master, turning the chaotic situation into a masterclass in tactical coordination. Her ability to visualize the entire battlefield through radio communications alone demonstrated a level of strategic thinking that years of formal military education had failed to develop in many senior officers. Within 20 minutes, Maya had all 23 units operating in perfect synchronization. The exercise concluded with flawless execution as Maya's tactical coordination led all units to achieve their modified objectives ahead of schedule and under budget. General Morrison's voice filled the command center with unmistakable pride as he delivered his final assessment over the communication system. Outstanding work, Sergeant Chun. Your demonstration of tactical leadership and crisis management has been exemplary. This exercise will be used as a case study for adaptive command structures throughout the division, he announced, his words carrying across the base where hundreds of soldiers had witnessed her remarkable transformation. The command center erupted in spontaneous applause as Maya removed her headset, her quiet confidence having earned the respect of every person who had doubted her capabilities just hours earlier. Colonel Harrison stepped forward with genuine admiration in his eyes, extending his hand in recognition of her exceptional performance. Chun, I owe you an apology and my deepest respect. Your tactical mind and communication expertise saved this entire operation, he said, his weathered face showing the humility of a leader who recognized true talent regardless of rank or expectation. If this story of hidden leadership and unexpected heroism moved you, drop a comment and let us know your favorite moment, or share if you've witnessed similar courage and capability emerging from unexpected places in your own experiences. Maya smiled quietly, knowing she had found her true calling.